I should have listened to my gut. It was supposed to be a cheap, fun, once-in-a-lifetime solo trip to Europe. I had saved up for months, scrolling through travel blogs, picking out the most exciting spots. But hostels were part of the experience, right? Cheap, social, and full of backpackers just like me. I found one in Prague. Great reviews, clean rooms, free breakfast. Sounded perfect. But from the moment I stepped into that hostel, something felt off. The building was old, wedged between two crumbling apartment complexes. The neon sign flickered. The receptionist, a woman with sunken eyes and an unsettling smile, barely looked up as she slid me the key. Basement room. You're the only one there tonight. That was the first red flag. I hesitated. No one else booked? She stared at me for an uncomfortable amount of time before answering. No one stays in the basement long. I forced a laugh. Because of the ghosts? She didn't laugh back. The basement hallway smelled like mildew and something faintly metallic, like old pennies. The walls were lined with doors, most of them locked. Mine was at the very end. Inside it looked normal. A bunk bed, a metal locker, a tiny window too high up to see through. The mattress was thin but clean. I dropped my backpack and sat on the bed, trying to shake off the weird feeling gnawing at my stomach. That's when I noticed it. The door. On the far side of the room, half hidden behind the locker, was another door. It wasn't on the hostel's online photos. It didn't match the rest of the room. The handle was rusted, and the bottom edge was splintered, like someone had tried to kick it open. A wave of unease rolled through me. I reached for my phone, but, of course, no Wi-Fi in the basement. No service either. I decided to go back upstairs, maybe grab a beer, chat with some other travelers, shake off whatever paranoia was creeping in. But the moment I opened my door, I heard it. A soft, deliberate click. The sound of a lock, coming from the other door. I wasn't alone. I froze. The click of the lock was unmistakable. Slow. Deliberate. I turned back toward the door, the one half hidden behind the locker. My pulse hammered in my ears as I stared at it, half expecting it to swing open. Nothing. The air in the room felt heavy, like I had just walked into a pressure chamber. I took a step closer, barely breathing. "Hello," I whispered. Silence. I pressed my ear against the wood. The rusted metal handle looked ancient, barely hanging onto the doorframe. Then tap, tap, tap. Fingernails? Knuckles? I stumbled back so fast I hit my bed. My legs felt weak, my entire body screaming to get the hell out. That's when I heard the breathing. Shallow, raspy, just on the other side. Nope, absolutely not. I grabbed my backpack, yanked open my door, and bolted into the hallway. The second I stepped out, the air changed. The mildew smell was stronger. The hallway seemed longer. I turned to go upstairs, then stopped cold. The basement had 6 doors lining the hallway when I came in. Now there were 7. I turned back to my room. The number plaque on my door had changed. My room had been 102 when I arrived. Now it said B7. I wasn't in the same place anymore. A slow creaking sound made me snap my head toward the new door at the end of the hall. It was opening. The dark gap widened inch by inch, revealing nothing. A void. A blackness so deep it felt like it was pulling me in. And then something moved inside it. A shadow. Tall. Too tall. Its head tilted unnaturally to one side as if its neck was broken. I ran. I ran harder than I ever had in my life, sprinting toward the stairs. The hallway stretched longer with every step, the dim light flickering above me. My breath was ragged, my vision tunneling. The air was thick with something, rotten, metallic, suffocating. Then, footsteps. Behind me. Fast. Too fast. I reached the stairs, throwing myself onto them, scrambling up. I didn't dare look back. When I reached the top, I slammed into the lobby door so hard I nearly dislocated my shoulder. It didn't budge. Locked. A whisper slithered up the back of my neck. Wrong floor. I turned. The hallway was gone. The basement had changed again, and I was no longer alone. The hallway behind me wasn't the same one I had run from. The walls were different, darker, the paint peeling like burned flesh. The dim overhead bulbs flickered, casting jagged shadows that moved in ways they shouldn't. The worst part? The doors. They stretched down the corridor, more than I could count, some of them slightly ajar, revealing nothing but pitch-black voids. My room, B7, was gone. I tried the lobby door again, yanking it with both hands. It didn't budge. Then, SHHHFFF, a dry, scraping sound, like something dragging itself across the floor. Getting closer, I swallowed hard and turned. The hallway stretched endlessly, but at the farthest end, it was there. A figure, too tall, too thin, arms hanging too long, fingers dragging against the floor. Its face, if it had one, was turned away, twitching slightly, as if it was listening. Took a slow, jerking step forward. I backed into the door, heart hammering. Another step. The way it moved was wrong, like a marionette with half its strings cut. I turned and pounded on the lobby door. "Hey, open up. Help me." No response. SHHHFFF. It was halfway down the hall now, moving faster. I turned, ready to run. But then, one of the doors beside me creaked open. A soft, wet breath came from inside the darkness. A hand shot out. I barely had time to scream before it yanked me inside, and the door slammed shut. I hit the ground hard. My hands scrambled against the floor. It felt like concrete, cold and damp. Panting, I turned, my eyes adjusting to the darkness. A person crouched in the corner. No, not a person. The silhouette was human-shaped, but too thin, its arms wrapped tightly around its legs. Its ribs jutted out, its head jerking slightly, like a glitching video. I pressed myself against the opposite wall. The thing lifted its head, and I saw its face. It was me. Same face, same wide, terrified eyes. Its lips parted, trembling. Then it whispered in my own voice, "Don't let it find you." The doorknob rattled. Then a deep, sickening knock. The knock wasn't normal. It wasn't a request to come in. It was a warning, a signal. Something outside was letting me know it had found me. I pressed my back against the cold concrete, heart slamming in my chest. The air inside the room was thick, humid, like breathing through wet cloth. The other me didn't move. It just sat there, curled in the corner, twitching slightly, its too thin arms wrapped around its knees. Its eyes, my eyes, locked onto mine. The knock came again. Slow, deliberate. The thing in the corner whispered again, voice shaking. "You can't let it in." My stomach twisted. "What is it?" I whispered. It didn't answer. Outside, something scraped against the door. Long, slow drags like nails against wood. The sound made my skin crawl, my body instinctively recoiling. I clenched my jaw, trying to stay calm. How do I get out? The thing tilted its head too far, the bones in its neck cracking. Then, in a hoarse whisper, "You don't." A sharp breath hitched in my throat. I turned, feeling along the walls, looking for anything. A vent, a window, a crack to squeeze through. Nothing, just the door, just the thing outside waiting. And then the handle turned. Not fast, not frantic, slow, like whatever was out there was savoring the moment. My breath caught. I turned back to the thing in the corner, but it was already moving. No, not moving, crawling. It scuttled toward me, moving on all fours, its body bending at impossible angles. I had no time to think, no time to react. It lunged. Its hands grabbed my shoulders, cold, clammy fingers digging into my skin. I screamed, and then everything went black. When I woke up, I wasn't in the room anymore. I was in my hostel bed. The mattress was thin, my backpack still beside me. Sunlight streamed through the tiny window. For a split second, I thought it was all a nightmare. Just a fucked up dream from exhaustion and travel stress. But then I looked down at my arms. There, on my skin, were finger-shaped bruises. Deep, red, as if something or someone had been holding on to me. I shot up, heart racing. Grabbed my backpack, my shoes, my passport. I needed to leave. I yanked open my door and froze. There, at the end of the basement hallway, stood the receptionist. Her sunken eyes locked onto mine, and then she smiled. "You're lucky," she said. "Most people don't wake up." I ran. I didn't stop until I was in a cab, speeding away from that place, from whatever the hell had happened in that basement. I never looked back, and I never stay in hostels anymore, because some doors should never be opened. I didn't stop running until I was miles away from that hostel. I booked a last-minute room at a hotel near the city center, overpriced, but I didn't care. I needed lights, noise, people. The receptionist looked at me funny when I checked in. Probably because I was sweating, shaking like I'd seen a ghost. Because I had. When I got to my room, I locked the door, latched the deadbolt, and shoved a chair against the handle for good measure. Then I sat on the bed, staring at my hands. The bruises were still there, deep, ugly. I ran my fingers over them. They hurt, which meant I wasn't crazy, right? I forced myself to stay awake. I turned on every light, the TV, anything to keep me out of the dark. At some point, exhaustion won. I don't remember falling asleep, but I remember waking up. And the moment I did, I knew something was wrong, because my bed wasn't a bed. It was a mattress, thin, lumpy, like a hostel bed. My breath caught. My hands scrambled against the sheets. No, I sat up, heart hammering. The walls were different, dark, peeling. The air smelled damp, stale. And in the corner, a door. The same rusted door from before. The one that should not be here. I never left. Something had brought me back. My pulse pounded so loud I could barely think. My mouth was dry. My skin was ice. I reached for my phone, fingers trembling, and then I heard it. Tap, 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 from the other side of the door. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. And then the whisper, "You can't leave. You never left." The doorknob started to turn. And this time I didn't wake up. The rusted doorknob turned. Slow, deliberate. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe. My whole body locked up, muscles screaming at me to run. But I was frozen, staring at that door like a deer caught in headlights. The air was heavy, thick with something wrong. The whisper came again, curling around my spine like cold fingers. "You never left." The door creaked open, and on the other side, I saw them. A hallway, too long, stretching into impossible blackness. And lining the walls, people. No, not people. Copies. Dozens. Hundreds. All identical. All me. Their eyes were wrong. Too wide. Too empty. Some were standing, others sitting, some hunched over like broken puppets. Their lips moved, whispering things I couldn't hear. Then, all at once, they turned their heads toward me. Every single one. Their mouths stretched open, too wide, and they spoke in my voice. "You don't wake up from this." My stomach dropped. I staggered back, my vision tunneling. The air was buzzing now, like a swarm of invisible insects, static crackling through my skull. No, this wasn't real. This couldn't be real. I slammed the door shut, spun around. My hostel room was different now. The walls weren't just peeling, they were pulsing, like they were alive. The light flickered erratically, the shadows twitching and bending in ways they shouldn't. I was losing time. I had to get out. I yanked open the door. Not the rusted one, the real one, the one leading to the hallway. Except it didn't lead to the hallway anymore. It led outside. The hostel was gone. Prague was gone. The world beyond the doorway was just an endless, starless void stretching forever. And in the distance, barely visible in the blackness, a figure. Watching me, waiting. I felt a pull. Not physical, something else. A pressure in my chest, dragging me forward, toward the doorway, toward that thing in the void. I tried to step back, but my body wasn't listening. My feet moved on their own. I was being dragged forward into nothing. The last thing I heard was my own voice, whispering from behind me, "It's your turn now." And then I fell. I was falling. Not down, not up, just falling. The black void stretched in all directions, endless, swallowing every breath, every thought, every scream before it even left my lips. And somewhere in that impossible abyss, it was waiting. The figure. The thing that had been watching me from the darkness. I felt it more than I saw it. Tall, wrong, shifting, stretching like it couldn't decide what shape to take. And then it spoke. Not with words. With my own thoughts. You were never supposed to leave. Something yanked me backward. Not like I was falling anymore. Like I was being reeled in. Dragged through time, through space, through something far beyond human comprehension. My body slammed into cold, hard ground. I gasped, lungs burning, my pulse hammering in my ears. I was back, lying on the thin mattress in my hostel room. The rusted door was gone. The walls were normal. The air was still. I sat up too fast, my head swimming. Had it been a nightmare? Sleep paralysis? A glitch in reality? Then I saw the bruises on my arms. And something else. The room number. It wasn't B7 anymore. It was B8. A fresh wave of nausea crashed over me. No. I grabbed my backpack and ran. I didn't stop. Not to check out. Not to look back. Not even when the receptionist, that pale, hollow-eyed woman, smiled at me as I bolted past the front desk. "See you soon," she murmured. I nearly tripped over myself getting out the door. I flew home the next day. Didn't tell anyone what happened. Didn't try to explain. But I never, and I mean never, booked a hostel again. I moved on. Forced myself to believe it had been stress. Lack of sleep. A bad dream. Until last night. I checked into a hotel in New York. Normal place. Expensive. No rusted doors. No basement rooms. But when I got to my room, I stopped cold. The number on the door was B9. And from inside, I heard a soft, slow tap. Tap, tap. I'm not alone. And I don't think I ever was. Somewhere, somehow, I never really checked out.